Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. This is A Woman's Prerogative, and I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK. Our topic today is an interesting one, and it was presented by one of our panelists, the lovely JENETTA Barry. It's telling the truth about how you feel and when you actually do it. So what we're going to be talking about is actually telling someone, hey, I really think this about you, as opposed to going to a friend or a neighbor and gossiping about someone behind their back. It's a tough decision, really. It's a tough call when you think about how you're going to present the information and in what way you're going to convey it. So I'm here with our lovely group of panelists from around the world. Let's welcome them to our program. First, JENETTA Barry joining us from Kenya. Hello.
Hello, Dr. JACALYN. Hello to our viewers and listeners. And I'm delighted, as always, to be here tonight.
We're thrilled to have you, and also welcome to our new audiences joining us on LinkedIn as well as Facebook from our panelists. We'll talk a little bit about it. Let's welcome Dr. Madeleine Chan. Hello.
Hello, Dr. JACALYN. Hi, JENETTA Barry. Hello, viewers. And like JENETTA Barry, I am super happy to be part of A Woman's Prerogative, and especially for today's subject. Yes.
Absolutely. This is one of our most fun shows, if that's a proper saying, most fun.
Yeah.
And speaking of fun, Caroline HEWARD, the Harley Street stress expert, is in the house. Let's welcome her. Hello.
What fun topic, JENETTA. I'm very excited and always lovely to be here with these wonderful ladies. Thank you for always making me especially welcome.
Fantastic. Well, my heart is full for each of you. So thank you so much for being here. And also, this is a new time slot. So please mark your calendars, save the date for Mondays at noon Eastern time, which is 5 p.m. British summer time. And JENETTA, what time is it there?
It is 7:10 in the evening, and I can smell my dinner cooking because I have my built-in chef next door.
Oh, how lovely. Lovely. So let's get the conversation started. JENETTA, what is it that prompted you to come up with this fabulous topic?
Well, it's a topic that used to bother me tremendously when I was younger, and I mean I'm so ancient now. But when I was younger, in my early adulthood, I always felt the need to be able to discuss something or someone through with somebody else, and always felt intensely guilty about speaking behind their back. And it's only through the years, and of course having my process, that I've been able to find ways to do that are really beneficial for me, for the person, that come from an open heart. So I believe it's a topic that a lot of people grapple with on a silent level. And I'm so looking forward to hearing the input from our other two panelists and their opinions and their coping mechanisms or not coping mechanisms this evening.
Thank you so much, JENETTA. And again, thanks for bringing the topic. So let's have our conversation start by going to our resident therapist, Caroline HEWARD. I'd love to hear from you from a professional standpoint and then from a personal standpoint, because they're probably different, or they could be the same. What are your thoughts?
I would always start with, if you can, telling the truth, being as honest as you can, or saying what is true and leaving out what you feel uncomfortable to say. Because if you start by telling lies, or not being truthful, it will show up and people will hear that you're not being truthful. So if you can't feel comfortable with saying what is truthful, say what's comfortable to say, that's comfortable for the other person to hear and you're comfortable to say and share. From a personal perspective, I have struggled with this numerous times, not really when it's a good friend, because with good friends I'm always honest. When I'm not sure how somebody's going to receive the information, I tend to be very guarded and work through what's coming up for me and why I'm feeling uncomfortable. And I had such an instance with an issue over people smoking weed around me, and I was very upset, challenged, and it seemed to be very commonplace, and I'd never experienced that before. And it took me about 6 months before I actually said anything to the trainers. And they were really welcoming and very open to hear what I had to say. So it taught me something. It taught me to be truthful, even though for me it was very difficult to stand in that space of authenticity, because I was I had a very different perspective than everybody else did on smoking recreational substances.
Thanks, Caroline, and thanks for your transparency. That's a tough one. Now, I do think that there's different ways you can frame something up. So, for example, let's say in your situation, Caroline, you could call attention to the fact that everybody there was doing it and it was really offensive. Or you could say, I seem to have some sensitivity to smoke, so I'm feeling uncomfortable and I'm going to step away, as opposed to, what do you think you're doing? Or, or that's disgusting, or because I'm not into recreational substances either. When I go for a walk, you can smell that it's just marijuana seems to be everywhere. And I'll actually find myself saying something out loud, like, oh, that's very nice. But what are your thoughts about kind of, not exactly going right for the jugular when you're presenting the information and doing it in a more soft way?
I've just literally handled it by walking away, because it's my issue, not theirs, and it's my uncomfortableness, not theirs. And if it's normal in the group, then it's something that's coming up for me. And if nobody else is getting affronted by or upset by it, then it's their issue. Then it's my issue, sorry.
Come out of the darkness, Caroline.
You've gone back into the dark. You've got into the dark, Caroline.
When you're back, you can say you've seen the light.
Bear with me. I shall just turn on the lights.
Let's go over to Dr. Chan. What are your thoughts?
I've always had a problem with saying, yes, I'll go along with it. Yes, I will. When deep down inside, I want to say no, but I don't want to. I don't want to hurt the other person. I don't want to offend that person. So I've always, in my life, I've always been the person to go, yeah, I'll volunteer to do this. Yeah, I'll do this. Meanwhile, I'm burning myself out, and I'm wondering why everybody is rushing ahead and doing so well, and I'm like, plodding along, up the mountain with a big backpack on me, Oof. So, telling the truth has been a real lesson for me. However, when I'm on a one-to-one talking to a friend, a heartfelt conversation, I will tell the truth, because from a spiritual, being connected with the angels, with Father, how to say the source, or I say God, the Father, Mother. It doesn't matter how you interpret it. It's important then, when you are connected, you do say the truth. And that person, when they receive that truth from you, what you're receiving from your higher consciousness, they will feel it. So yes, when I'm called to tell the truth, And I have to do that. Oh gosh, there's Teddy again. I apologize. Teddy definitely wants to go on the show. Teddy the doggy.
Thank you, Dr. Chan. I appreciate that. What I found myself sometimes when I have to approach someone with something that's going to be difficult, I will frame it up using that sandwich approach with something nice first. And then I might say, wow, let me think of how I'm going to put this, which is kind of like a, hey, guess what? Something's coming and it's not pleasant and I don't really know how to share it, but let me think of it. So I don't know that that's the most tactful, but that's the way that I've been doing things for the last number of years. So Jenetta, what are your thoughts about that? I know you have an actual process that you follow.
I do. And it's something that obviously I had to create with time, because I think there's a couple of steps back from the time that you actually speak to that person, because one and all of us more than likely has gone to somebody or a group of somebodies or several somebodies and gone, yeah, I have a real problem with this, that, and the other, and I don't know what to think or say or do or how to approach it. And one gives you one opinion of how to, and so on. And I think it goes even further back than that, because when you can look at the motivation as to why you need to go behind that person's back first. I've noticed that some people and even at times in my early adulthood, where if I felt very insecure, emotionally insecure about myself and the situation, I almost went to other people to try and get validation that how I was feeling was right and how that situation or the other person or the other people were wrong. So when that happens, the motivation behind it is very much about inadequacy. And then it kind of is talking about behind the person's back and not addressing the issue from an open heart, because most of us, when we do that, don't even know how to get there. We feel so insecure. So for me, it was about learning how to move out of that insecurity in the times. I wasn't always like that, but in the times that I felt insecure enough to find validation from others and justify that I'm right and that or they are wrong. And once I could understand that I was approaching people from an open heart and discussing the situation, not to bring the other person down, but on how to get to that person and speak my truth from the heart. And once I've had probably one or two conversations with somebody else, it's as much as me getting perspective on how I might be out of kilter or how I may not be, and what from my heart feels the best way forward. And then I find when I can speak to the person from that open-hearted, balanced place, they can sense I'm not telling them the truth to hurt or destroy or judge. It's my truth from my heart, and the most appropriate words come out. And more often than not, that person is not offended because they can hear it's my truth and nothing to do with them in essence, as much as it's me saying, this is how this is something that I'm experiencing right now, and I would love to discuss it with you. And then it gives them an open forum to not feel judged or to shut them down on their opinions. I'm now open and listening to how they feel and how they think about it. And I'm open to hear their point of view without me going, oh, well, in defense that it's not my point of view. And suddenly there's an open-hearted conversation to come up with if there needs to be a solution.
Brilliant. I really like that, Jenetta. Thank you. And I wanted to add on to what you just said. This comes up a lot in workplaces. I can remember during my career many times something like this coming up. And if you were to go to your manager, or to a leader, or even to a peer and say, Hey, by the way, a group of us got together and we were just talking about what a jerk you are. And I decided to step forward to come and tell you myself. That's like right, highly offensive. It's kind of like, wait a minute. I didn't know that you had a problem with me. Why didn't you come directly to me? We could have resolved it. But then it feels like you're being ganged up upon. And then I feel like it's hard to establish trust again. But if you go directly to the person and you say, this is what's coming up for me, I was wondering if we can discuss it. Then right there, you have an even stronger relationship or an opportunity to have one, because it's a genuine concern and a genuine receptive person. They're my feelings. What do you think, Caroline?
I'd quite agree with you there, because it is about, because it's you that has the issue rather than the other person. And I'd like to share with you, when I was at school, and it was in junior school, there was one of the girls that we were, the group of girls that I hung around with, she had body odor. And it was obviously, we were very young and it was tricky, to sort of say something. And so she landed up getting deodorants and shower gels. Well, I think back then, there was sort of bath, bathing substances and products. And what her best friend, she said, this isn't the way to do it. I need to talk to her and I need to tell her, because we love her. And we did. And we were only, as I said, very young, and we didn't know how to approach it. But what we did was we told her the truth. And I had a similar situation when I was working in a company, and one of my girls came in with a very strong body odor, which she didn't have previously. And I happened to say, how's home? Has anything changed at home? And she says, I've left home. We've had a big argument and I'm now with my boyfriend, and the shower doesn't work and it's driving me mad. And sometimes I'm not able to have a shower in the morning. And I think sometimes you just need to broach the subject compassionately, because there will be something that's going on for the person. And it's important to be honest, truthful, without judgment, to be compassionate without judging the person, because we don't know what's going on in their world.
That's so true. And I think to add on to what you're saying, it's nice if you might say to someone, whatever the topic is, I've noticed this and I'm wondering, how can I help? What can I do to support you? And then I think you get a different answer than, hey, you really stink. And the rest of us are like, we're walking around gagging over here. Right? But people do that. They go on the offensive. They just attack people, and they don't bother to take the time to think exactly what you're saying, Caroline. Maybe there's something going on. Dr. Chan, what do you think?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with Caroline in the way that you have to be very sensitive. You have to actually say the truth, but choose your time to say the truth and actually ask for permission. Don't just blurt it out. Take them away from the room or wherever the group of people are and talk to them quietly and not judgmental, and understanding with compassion. And you can even throw in to say, hey, listen, I was at school and, the same thing happened to me, but one of my girlfriends just said, took me aside and said, you know what, why don't you try this? You kind of, there's a little bit smelly today. That's all, that type of thing. So, but you've got to, it's important. You have to choose. And then also I was thinking, you have to be careful that when you say the truth, you actually say the truth to the source. You do not take that information outside the source, because then you're inviting like Chinese whispers, where the truth is then distorted. And by the time it comes back to the person who it involves, it's a completely different story, or it's completely way over the top, and it could be very hurtful and painful. So therefore, it's important when you have something, a sniggle, or you want to tell the truth to someone to help them, then you have to work with them away from there and just keep it within the circle of trust. Sometimes you might, if you've got a partner, you might want to talk to them about your day and express what you're going through, because that's a means of support. So that's okay when you tell the truth. So it's how you choose and asking for permission as well.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chan. I feel like you were paying attention in the Power of Listening courses.
I sure was.
Asking for permission. So something else I want to talk about, Caroline, I've discussed this several times on the Listening Mentor TV show, is there are times that rather than tell someone the truth, the person just disappears. Now, you could track them down if you wanted to, you could probably find them, but they just stop communicating with you because something's coming up for them and they don't want to talk to you about it. And that can be very hurtful. It can also drive you crazy when you're trying to figure out where are they in the hospital. And meanwhile, it's basically because they didn't have the strength or courage or belief in themselves to tell you what the truth is. And I think that goes along with Jenetta. There are times in a relationship when somebody wants to break up with somebody else and the person will say, hey, it's not you, it's me. And it is me, but it's also you. You're driving me crazy and I gotta get out. So, Jenetta, based on your experience, are there times when it's appropriate to just sort of disappear out of someone's life rather than deal with whatever the truth is?
I believe that's called ghosting.
Yes.
And yeah, I think that the majority of the times it's really one not wanting to approach what you want to say because you don't want to be judged, even though you're judging the other person. I've noticed this quite often. I would say the times I would do it is when I have spoken to a person on numerous occasions. And we've discussed it. It's not been an accusation where we've discussed things backwards and forwards, and the pattern of whatever they're in is not changing. And I just know, okay, that's it. I'll give you an example. It's somebody I've never spoken to again. After I lost my daughter, Jenny, this person came in with the energy of wanting to support and help. And what was happening was that there were a lot of counter stories coming in of what she was saying to people behind my soon-to-be divorced husband, Dave, and me. So what she would say to Dave and what she would say to me was antagonistical. So she was causing more trouble because she wanted to feel important about it all. That makes sense. So I get this story that Dave was doing and saying this about Jenny, and Dave would get that story about I was saying and doing this, and she was creating like a tornado around us when things were enough. And I just said to her once, please, could you stop talking to everybody about us and about it, and just be there. If you want to support us, just be there. And it carried on. And at that point, I went, that's it. It's over. Because it was not helping in my coping mechanism. And I've never spoken to her since. And she actually did drop it after I had to get to there. And I just knew from the pattern of what she'd done with other people before that it was her general pattern. And until she was ready to address it, I knew I took the decision to step away.
And that was a brave decision, Jenetta. And when you stepped away, you were not confrontational. You didn't send black roses or put an X over a door or say anything to anybody else. You just did it with dignity and grace.
Yeah. And having had said to her, it's not like I just disappeared. I said to her, this is enough. I see the pattern that you are producing and making to make yourself feel as though you're really an integral part of what's happening. And please stop it. And she didn't. So.
Well, sayonara to her. Let's welcome our fans. Gaffa joining us. Hello, beautiful women enjoying the show. Nice to have you with us.
Hello.
And you know about Gaffa, it's her mum's, well, Priscilla Bromley, who's gaffer, it's her mum's birthday today. Can we all say happy birthday to her mum?
That's me.
Happy birthday to Priscilla's mum. Happy birthday to Priscilla's mum. Happy birthday, Priscilla's mum. Happy birthday to you. There you go.
Very nice. Gaffa, can you put your mother's name in the comments so we know what it is, please? And we have a new fan joining us, I believe, Monik. Monik, thank you for joining us from Facebook. I agree with Dr. Chan. It's not okay to call someone out. Take that person aside. Try to see if someone needs help. Exactly. And just add on to that, Monik. Each one of us is going through our own journey. And for example, we show up here and we're smiling. We got our dresser or whatever makeup on. We're ready to go. But once we get off the screen, nobody knows what's going on. So we can't judge other people. We have to lead with compassion. That's what we're always saying on this platform, is to lead with compassion. And here's something else that goes to what Caroline said before. I don't know if it was this show or the Listening Mentor, but the time that you approach someone is really important. So if you're having a bad day and you're like, yeah, I'm pretty fired up now, I'm gonna go approach so-and-so because I'm in a bad mood. Or, the other person's going through something, maybe they have health issues or they lost a job. That night might not be the best time to go tell them the truth as you see it. So I think we need to keep those things in perspective, that if we were to look back on the decision that we made, if 5 years from now, a week from now, say, wow, that really wasn't the right time to do that. And I find myself having to do that a number of times because I'm very quick to answer people. Caroline likes to take time and think about it, which I think is great. And sometimes I'm like, yeah, I could have waited 5 minutes before, but I'm always like, I want to answer everyone right away. And I've realized that's not the best approach to take. So
I was just about to say, Dr. Jacalyn, in the way that, how about we look at the way of telling the truth about a guy or a boy or a woman that you've fancied for ages and you still can't get the courage to tell the truth, that you go, yeah, I'm into you.
Wow.
What experience have you ladies got on that?
Where's our dating expert, Katrina Valente from Dubai?
Well, so, I'd quite like to chip in on that one. As I've got to a ripe age of 59, and I'm now in a space where I'm really valuing my life and the achievements and sort of family, I would say just tell them. If you really like someone, don't hold back, because we're here for a really short time. And if you like someone, then sometimes it is about life's journey of taking some risks and saying, because they could turn around and say, I like you too. And that happens to me when I'm not thinking that. I'm fancying somebody like crazy as soon as I've seen them, and then I'm frightened to say anything, but they've kind of, because I've left the space open, I wonder if he's single, I wonder if he's available, and then that person comes in. So it's a double-edged sword, really. How brave are you going to be? But, unless you ask and unless you say, that you will never know, and neither will they.
That's right. True. That's a very good point. And then we'll have you, Dr. Chan, on our show, Adversity to Awesome, talking about how you never went for it.
Yeah, exactly. So true.
So go for it. So let's go on to the degree of truth. And what do I mean by that? So you approach someone and you want to share something with them. Do you have to go into an entire dissertation about why you feel that way, where you're really kind of, let's give an example. Let's see. I really like spending time with you, but
switched it back on.
But just not that. I'm not sure what's going on there. I like spending time with you, but just not that much. I could just say I like spending time with you. I don't know if that is.
That is the insult.
Now, what if I said I really fancy fancy the British word. I really fancy spending time alone, as opposed to I don't want to spend time with you, or I don't want to spend that much time with you. That's telling the truth, right?
Yeah, but it's a little bit offensive at the end as to not spending time with it. It's, you don't really need to put that ending part, because it's a double-edged sword, is what Caroline was saying. There's 2 points.
But what if I just say I like spending time by myself, as opposed to I don't like spending time with you?
Yeah. Or you're busy,
Yeah.
You've got things to do, and you have a small amount of time which you love spending with him or her.
Right. Or you could say something like, given my schedule, I have an open slot to spend time with you for 30 minutes on a Tuesday.
Oh my God.
That to me. They actually said they had 15 minutes, and I thought, right, okay.
You're kidding.
15 minutes, Caroline?
Yes. And I just said, right, I think we ought to reschedule.
So did you meet up for a coffee or a tea or something?
No,
we
didn't.
No, you didn't. Just on the phone. On the phone, right? I've got 15 minutes. That's after a marriage, isn't it? Okay, love, I've got 10 minutes before I get back on my ship.
And so,
let's have Caroline. Oh, sorry, Caroline, go ahead.
The person said, it's not what we planned, but I've only got 15 minutes and I really want to see you. And I just thought, well, it isn't what we planned, and I prefer to reschedule. This is being honest, I said, you'll want to spend more time with me. 15 minutes isn't very long.
That's right. But Caroline, as a therapist, what kind of counsel can you give people who are really struggling with some issues in the relationship, and being completely honest could potentially end the relationship? So a lot of times people couch things. They're not direct about it. They even share stories about other people. Well, a friend of mine was going through this situation when it happens to be them. What would you suggest for people?
It's important to find the right time to have that conversation when you're both free and you're both available to have that conversation that's difficult, and to make sure that you schedule it in each other's diaries so that you're expecting it. It is very difficult when you say we need to talk to a man, because they feel very uncomfortable, and that almost like frightens them away, and they just say, oh, right, what's coming now, and that they'll go into their man cave. So it's important to air what you want to talk about. Say, we need to talk about this. When's a good time, in your diary, my diary, so that, because there are some issues here that we need to just have a conversation about. And so if you catch it in terms of what you want to have a conversation about, then that allows the other person to prepare for that conversation as well. And it also gives them time to think about it, because the masculine energy doesn't store things like the feminine energy, and they won't remember, they might forget. And so it's good for them to be prepared.
I really like that. And that goes to what we were discussing earlier about asking permission and setting boundaries, that if you have something that's really of a significant magnitude that might impact the other person's life in some way or another, or your relationship, you have to set it up so that, hey, Caroline, I have something really important that I really want to share with you. It's going to take about 3 hours. Right? Be honest. It's going to take, it's not going to be a 5-minute conversation. And people do that all the time. They have something really that's important to them, and they want to talk to you about it right then. And it's like, well, what do you mean you can't talk about it now? Or what do you mean you only have 5 minutes? I just told you that I lost my job and now you can't talk to me? No, I really can't, because you didn't ask me if this was appropriate time. So if you have something that's very impactful, make sure you show the respect to the other person and to yourself to ask for permission, and state that it's going to take some time. It might even involve getting a third party involved, if it's a therapist or a counselor, so that the person can clear their mind, clear their calendar, so that they can be there for you. And I do that on that, Caroline.
Absolutely, I totally agree. Because when topics are difficult, it's important to schedule that sort of time so that everyone has space to air what they feel. And if it's something like having a child or IVF treatment, these are big topics, or discussing a funeral or arrangements, for a family friend when you're looking after a will. These are, sort of the just examples of tough subjects or difficult subjects that need both people to be fully present, rather than the man watching football and saying, "Oh, I've got 5 minutes in between when it's half time." That won't work. But these conversations can land up cropping up at that time when it's half time in a football match, and that's all they've got. And the woman can get very uncomfortable and frustrated that that's all the time that she's been given. So it's important to broach about what the subject is, so that both parties are comfortable with scheduling the right time at the right for the right amount of time.
Absolutely. And as we're running out of time, one thing I do want to bring up is, if you have consistently gone to someone to ask for permission to have a conversation and they're giving you endless amounts of excuses, you have to be aware of that as a red flag also, because this means they don't want to discuss it. They probably have some idea of the topic and they just don't want to discuss it. So I'm going to go back to Caroline again, then we'll go over to you, Dr. Chan. What can someone do in that instance when the person's literally playing hide and seek?
Well, you will feel that they're playing hide and seek, and you will feel that they don't want to talk about it. It's a bit like if you're in a text conversation, in our current times, there's WhatsApp, social media, messenger, text. We're having a conversation, you might ask a question, the other person doesn't answer. And then a bit later on, you'll ask the same question, they still don't answer. And so when somebody does that, when somebody almost like sort of ignores that question, there's something that they're uncomfortable to say. And so I just take that as, that it's going to be negative in terms of their response, which is why they've not said anything. Sometimes what people don't say is even more important than what they do say, because what they leave out, you can actually deduce what's not working for them. So it is important to look actively at what's being said as well as what's being unsaid, to make up your mind as to where you are.
Very true. And what could be going through the other person's mind is they're already anticipating what you're going to be discussing, and they're thinking how it's going to impact them. Okay, I guess he wants to break up with me. That means this is going to change. That's going to change. What am I doing? And you could be building this entire story in your head, and it's not even true. So let's also keep ourselves neutral without making a judgment about what somebody wants to talk to us about. Dr. Chan, we're closing out with the final comment from you. What are your thoughts on this?
My experience for telling the truth is I sometimes have told the truth when someone's asked me what they think about something, and I say this, and the next minute, as we were talking about earlier on, they ghost me, they distance, they put distance, because they become defensive. And they also think, okay, this information about me now. And now that I've expressed and told the truth, brought out my heart, I can't have you around this group anymore, because you might try to blackmail me, or you might try to hurt me in some form or way. So in that way, you end up being on the loser, because it's not fair that you listened to someone that wanted to express their truth, but then they become very defensive and they cut you out. And that happens a lot in society.
That's very true. That's happened to me as well. Well, you really gave some great shares today. Thank you very much. We're sorry that Jenetta dropped off, but we really appreciate the fact that Jenetta's community is watching also on LinkedIn. So I'd love to have you, Dr. Chan. Your community has now joined. What would you like to say to them?
I just want to say thank you for tuning in and watching A Woman's Prerogative, and all these beautiful women, Jenetta, Caroline, and of course, Dr. JACALYN. I just want to say, if you would like to contact me, and I want to hear from you, if you want to be connected with your creative genius, bringing out your confidence, your voice, listening to your heart, learning about soul, heart, language, in order for you to have a better life, to be the best version of you, to be in truth, stand in your greatness, stand in your truth, and become great for humanity and get onto your divine plan, because we've all got a divine mission, and I can help to awaken that in you. All right, you can contact me on madalenecarolchan@gmail.com, MADALENECAROLCHAN@gmail.com, and you can find me on MADALENECHAN.com.
Thank you so much. Let's go over to Bust Your Stress. Bust your stress.
Stress. Bust your stress.
If you are feeling stressed, if you are overwhelmed, if you are struggling in a relationship, if you are struggling with a physical or emotional ache and pain, please reach out on nomorestress@live.co.uk. Email me, tell me about your problem, and let's schedule a Zoom, Skype, or telephone call. I offer a free 30-minute Zoom, Skype, or telephone call to literally bust your stress. You can reach me on, if your camera is shy, on +44 if you're international, 07523 120 189. I look forward to helping you bust your stress.
Oh yeah.
And you will bust their stress. You really will.
I just want to thank everyone for being here, and I have a special announcement that we put up yesterday. I'm going to share my screen. So I'm super excited for the fact that we have a partnership now with E360 TV, and this is really incredible because our goal is to give independent content creators more places to stream their programming. So in addition to all the places that we're now streaming, our wonderful hosts, our show hosts, our presenters will have an opportunity to stream to some other major platforms: Amazon, Apple TV, Roku, and Android devices. So if you're interested in joining our team, go over to our website, usaglobaltv.com/book your session. I think we're going to add bust your stress.
Book your session. Book your session.
All right, we're saying goodbye for now. And before we leave, I do want to give a shout out to the wonderful Zane Carson Carruth, who is the official VIP sponsor and part of this show today. And you can watch her show, which is new to our channel. It is Elegance, Polished Demeanor, and Posh Living. So check the schedule over on our website. Let's take a look at Zane's sponsorship, and we'll be right back with It's Your Healthy Lifestyle. Bye for now.
Hi, my name is Zane Carson Carruth, and I'm the author of this book, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever.
Reading is magic. Studies have shown that reading to your children lays the foundation for greater success in life. Reading helps develop language and vocabulary skills. It helps improve memory, and it encourages curiosity and inspires creativity. The benefits are immeasurable, and as a parent, you'll benefit too. In only 10 or 15 minutes a day, you'll be creating more memories and a bonding experience that will last for years to come. So take time to read to your children. Read them books about things that engage and interest them. Tales of fairies and magic fascinate children, and as everyone knows, the Tooth Fairy is at the top of the list. If your child loves magic, wands, adventure, and what child doesn't, you'll love reading them books from the trademarked series, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever. Follow along as Abella, the world's first tooth fairy, accidentally starts the tooth fairy tradition. Learn the tricks of being a professional tooth fairy in the book, Abella Starts a Tooth Fairy School. Your child's imagination will soar as you read the adventures of Abella and her magic wand. These wonderful books are available at worldsfirsttoothfairy.com and at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Walmart.